Well, hello and welcome to Good Deeds Real Estate with a Mission. I'm Diane Davidson from the Fine Homes Group at Keller Williams. I'm here with my partner, Bill White.
And I'm Bill Whitecker.
So today we want to talk about fallout. Not fall, but fallout.
Falling.
Here we go. So there's a statistic with real estate that on the average, 18% of transactions that are put together fall apart, if you will, and don't get to closing. That's the national average. On our team, I'm proud to say that it's around 5%, which is much, much lower. And there are many reasons for it, and we talk about it with other agents often, and we talk about it with our clients also and prospective clients. So we thought that it seems to be a point of curiosity. We thought we would talk about it here today. So there you go. I wanted to talk about what we binge watched, but Bill didn't think that was appropriate.
Well,
he was not prepared.
I can never remember. I mean, there's so much. When people start bringing stuff up, I'm like, oh yeah, I saw that. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Black Rabbit.
We'll talk about it in the
another
future.
Time,
yes,
time.
another
Something
time.
to look forward to.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bill, what are some of the pitfalls that cause fallout in your opinion?
Well, in some cases, I've always held on to this belief that, a certain percentage of the transactions that fall out never should have gone together in the first place. Mm-hmm. It felt too forced. It felt too rushed. I never should have agreed to this, or whether you're the buyer or the seller. There
Correct.
are just as many sellers that say, I wish I hadn't agreed to that, or buyers in the fallout phase. So some of them fall into that category. They never should have been put together in the first place. Mm-hmm. And they're just looking for a reason to get out. The other part of this, and the reason why fallouts are higher right now, is because we're in a market nationally and locally that mirrors the return to a normal market, where there are home inspection issues that come up. There are further negotiations after the offer to purchase or after the purchase and sale agreement. And without really skilled negotiators and trusted advisors in the real estate space, those transactions are going to fall apart because you're not being guided well.
Okay, so I think a lot of this comes back to good business practice and good life practice, which is to set expectations. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So with buyers and with sellers, if they understand the possibilities, that the things that can come up, the scenarios that may exist, and they're prepared for that, like that prepared word, we always do, it makes it a lot easier when these circumstances arise. I think, though you didn't ask me, but I think we also run into situations where many agents speak for their clients rather than advising their clients and having their clients decide. I know we've encountered interactions with other agents where it was very clear that they were speaking for their client rather than speaking to their client and relaying what their client feels.
Well, oftentimes we may think we know what's best, but we really don't know everything that's going on in the lives of our clients.
Correct.
And ultimately, we can advise them, but they're the ones that make the decisions, right?
What do we like to say?
We advise, you decide.
Exactly.
And I really believe that, because if you say, hey, to a client, the buyers wanted the following done, and I told them to forget about it because you were not going to spend that money. And the client then says, how dare you?
Right.
Call them right back. I don't want to lose this transaction. We just found another house. We've got this and that and this. There's all these other things riding upon this that we didn't know, but we thought we never jump into the position that is out of our role.
Correct.
The seller is the seller, the buyer is the buyer, and we are the advisors to either side that we may be representing, or in some cases, both sides.
Yep.
So giving people the facts and then saying, hey, here's what I think, is invaluable. Ultimately, you mentioned this idea of building expectations. Really good businesses tell you exactly what you're going to encounter along the process. And in a real estate transaction, if I'm foreign to the business, Diane, I want to know what's next. I'd appreciate that.
Exactly. being prepared, right?
Tell me what's going to happen. Tell me what it's going to feel like.
So a few tips. As a buyer representative, buyer agent, it's imperative in New Hampshire where a property disclosure from the seller is required. It's imperative for a buyer agent to review that in detail, line by line, space by space, word by word, when sitting down to put together an offer on behalf of their client. I would say that not every agent does that, and that's a really important part of the process. There are other things that, as a seller's agent, setting the expectations of what the possible outcomes can be from an inspection is very important. A seller's disclosure that a buyer's agent should review is, nothing we're allowed to fill out on their behalf, but the more thorough it is, the more smoothly things will go. So there are all sorts of things that should be done when we're representing one party or the other that I'm afraid, I'm sad to say aren't always done by all agents.
I think it's this. We've gotten into a society where it is a check the box mentality. Is this form in the file? Check. Is this done? Check. Regardless of do I understand what the forms say? So the disclosure, the uniform disclosure, the seller fills out. In a real estate transaction, if you're representing the buyer, you said it. You review that. You review it intensely. To say I've got the seller's statement and I put it in the file and I checked the box, I haven't done any review at all. And yet, yeah, it's in the file. But what good is it? There is a saying that I've subscribed to over the years is you can't rush real estate. You've got clients' lives on the line. It doesn't take long to read a form in detail and then go over it with your client, rather than saying, here it is, you read it.
Right. And in Massachusetts, where our team also practices, it's much different. Sellers don't really have to disclose anything unless they're specifically asked. So it's really, it's really a matter of us gathering the information with whoever we represent to make sure that not just checking the boxes, but checking all the details. So, any other things come to mind when we talk about why transactions might not come to a close?
Well, oftentimes, telling somebody what to expect is a little more, especially in the phase of home inspections or further negotiations. Telling people what to expect might happen, giving them several scenarios, I think is helpful because they come to realize it's not all going to be just exactly the way I think it will be. It could be this, or it could be this.
Yep.
And building that expectation oftentimes creates a calmness in the client because they say, all right, you told me this was going to take place.
Remember when we discussed it,
Yeah.
exactly. So maybe rephrase the question. Anything else besides inspections, which are, we call it's now a buyer-friendly market. That's what we're seeing, right? Not necessarily a buyer's market with regard to inventory, but a buyer-friendly market with regard to terms. Anything else come to mind that could be maybe the second in line?
Well, there's, depending on the conditions you have in your purchase agreement, right? So there could be a financing contingency. That could definitely be part of it. Additional, some offers have stages of deposits, first deposit, second deposit. That's important that you make sure you meet those dates. But ultimately, where there could be fallout issues, there's usually further negotiation. So if you've got a financing condition and you've got a commitment date that's coming up and you need to renegotiate that date for whatever the reason, that is important to make sure you don't miss those. But it's also important to position it with the client so that they don't think, well, we didn't meet the date, we're out, we can't buy the house. Or if it's a seller, to say they didn't meet the date, let's kick them out and find another buyer. I know we can get more money. Is being able to get through those situations with the proper amount of advice to either the buyer or the seller, so that they know what they're getting into. Not like, yeah, let's do that. There are repercussions that can come.
So I think if you were to ask me the question, I would say
Pretend I did.
I'm about to. I would say two things. One, that sellers, it seems to be that there are more and more home sale contingencies accepted by sellers these days. And if that home doesn't sell, doesn't go under contract by a certain date and doesn't close by a certain date, that the offer, the house that, you know what I'm talking about, when those buyers are the sellers of something that doesn't go under contract, then that transaction can often cause fallout. And also appraisals. Appraisals are usually part of the financing contingency, and sometimes the appraisal comes in higher than what the agreed upon price was. Sometimes it comes in exactly at that price, and sometimes it comes in lower. And when it comes in lower, there are circumstances where people do try to renegotiate and can't come to an agreement.
Lots of reasons.
Yeah, and appraisers have to follow very stringent guidelines or risk losing their license. So that's a really, really, really important thing that agents should be adept at explaining to their buyer clients and to their seller clients, because that can make a huge difference by structuring the offer up front properly. That doesn't need to be a problem.
Yeah.
And that's all I have. Okay.
That was plenty.
Well, thanks, Bill.
It was.
Okay.
It was just the right amount.
Good.
I didn't mean like plenty, way
Plenty
too
like-
much.
okay, good.
Plenty means that
Just
was,
right.
Yes.
Okay, Goldilocks. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's, speaking of just right, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching or listening or both, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.